All right, we are live. NFL Week 14 recap. It's Monday after Week 14, and they say it's the most wonderful time of the year pertaining to the holidays, but this is truly one of my favorite times of year. Also with football, of course. Now it could do with a little warmer weather, but look, one thing that I do want to discuss and bring up right away within the weekly recaps, one thing that I want to do moving forward, just from a time-saving aspect, is I do not want to. I don't want to re-go over the Thursday night game, so moving forward, we're just not going to, we already go live immediately after the Thursday game. We also discuss the Thursday game within the Week 14, or whichever week recap, so I don't need to hammer it home for a third time on the live recap after this. So, what I want to go with here is the Seahawks and Falcons, and within this game here, this was a game where I was initially worried that, it was 6-6 at half. Sam Darnold and Kirk both did not play good in the first half, which Kirk, that's kind of expected against that defense, and especially with Kirk at this point in his career, and even more, Drake London also didn't play, so I feel like with Kirk, it was kind of expected, but with the Seahawks specifically, this was a game where I was kind of like, oh boy, here we go. This could be a very much a type game that the Rams had against Carolina, but the Seahawks obviously prevailed, and Rashid Shaheed had one of the most timely touchdowns of the season so far for the Seahawks. It was 6-6. He returns the second half kick, makes it 13-6. Obviously, you can see the Falcons finish with 9 points, and the onslaught was kind of on from there. So in terms of this game, honestly, the second half is really what you need to know from this game, because the Seahawks absolutely, they throttled them in the second half. They outscored them 31-3 in the second half. The Seahawks are second in the NFL in both scoring and points allowed, so they're offensive and defensive scoring per game. And this was the type of game that you expect. And now with this game, the Seahawks have outscored their last two opponents 63-9. They, of course, shut out the Vikings in Week 13. They absolutely dismantled the Falcons in the second half, 31-3. They turned the ball over 3 times. And in some ways, for the Falcons, I thought that this was kind of fitting, just with where they are. They're 4-9 now on the year, and it's just been perpetually underwhelming for the Falcons. Really over the past 7 or 8 years, if we're being honest, but specifically since Raheem Morris took over, it has not been good. And what's also really frustrating for Falcons fans is whenever you see, whenever you get on Twitter, you see tweets that resurface from the Falcons Twitter account itself from the 2024 coaching cycle. We have conducted an interview with Mike Vrabel. We have conducted an interview with Ben Johnson. The Falcons finished 8-9 last year. They're 4-9 this year, and I don't disagree with this statement here. Ever since 28-3, it's been kind of a letdown. Yeah, it has been. A couple super chats to go right off the bat. Appreciate it, guys. Antonio says, I know what you're going for. Don't mess with Tyler Shuck. Don't foul. Don't tough would rhyme with that. So don't fuff with Shuck. I'll just leave it at that. And yeah, Tyler Shuck, man, we're going to get to that, of course, very shortly. Really good game. The Saints are in a very interesting situation, so really big credit to Tyler Shuck for playing the way that he has. And Tyler Shuck yesterday, a lot of juice, I was really, really excited to see that from him. Texans fan here, y'all are welcome. This is from Chip, and then he says F to Chief, so appreciate the super chat, and congrats on the win, which we'll, of course, get to very shortly as well. So, by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream, helps tremendously. I think a football will appear. I think it's either a football or a soccer ball. And I am wearing the football analysis long sleeve shirt. So if you guys are interested in any football analysis merch, I will also pin that as the comment. I'll just share the link. And anyway, I want to move on to the Dolphins and Jets game within this. So within the Dolphins and Jets game, this game was over very, very quickly. If we are being completely honest, this game was it was not close. It was, Tyrod Taylor also got hurt within this game, and whenever your starting quarterback goes down, the Jets were a 3-9 team entering this game, and obviously now they're 3-10. It wasn't ideal for the Jets to have Brady Cook come, play this game, and you get the point of how this game went for the Jets. And I do want to say that, Jalen Wright came in, played well in relief of Devon Achane. And this is really, again, what you need to know from Celtics. The Jets are eliminated for the 15th season in a row. And I would ask this question here. By the way, appreciate everybody who liked the stream. Very much appreciate it. If you were a Jets fan watching this, I want to ask this question here in the absolute least condescending way that I can. I'm simply just asking a question. What is if you had to power rank your top 5 moments as a fan over the past 10 years, what are they? And I'm not trying to ask that again in a condescending way. I am simply asking a question. If somebody could answer me that as a Jets fan, I would really, really appreciate some insight on this, because I mean, this is just another loss. It is what it is. Their season's been over for a while, which we know. But we'll see. Let's see here. Just seeing this, about to hop the start. Appreciate it. Super chat. Love your vids. Thoughts on McDaniel / Champ Kelly? Does Tua have a future with this team? So within this, within Mike McDaniel, I mean, guys, we discussed it within the Week 14 recap. The biggest thing that I have to say is the Dolphins have now won. They've won, or they're undefeated since they fired Chris Greer. So, I mean, I think you have to be thinking Super Bowl. Obviously, I think that would be the logical thing. I mean, they're quite literally undefeated since. They can run the table. They're now 6-7. Get your jokes in, which was that's what we've been emphasizing since they beat the Bills. Was they can beat the Commanders, they can beat they beat the Saints, they beat the Jets, and the opportunity for them is there. So the Dolphins, in theory, are playing meaningful football in December. But with Mike McDaniel, I, at this point, would kind of be surprised if he's not back next year. That would kind of be my takeaway within this, is I still think that he would be back next year. And we'll see how things go from there. And regarding Tua, the financial part is going to make it very, very difficult to be able to move on from him. And I saw some people talking about the Tua and Kyler trade. I don't think that would make a lot of sense for the Cardinals to trade for Tua. But with Tua at this point, I would think that he would be on the team next year. I don't think they would want to eat all of that cap. Champ Kelly, I'm going to be honest, I'm not, I would say, versed enough to give a good comment on this, but I'm looking at his prior history to being here. He's been a director of pro scouting, assistant director of player personnel, and assistant GM. I feel like there's worse ways to go about this for the Dolphins if they wanted to keep Champ Kelly. I don't think that would be a bad thing for them. But for the Jets, like I said, you're 3-10. You guys have had this type of season before. Unfortunately, you know what it is, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. All right, and there was one more super chat that I wanted to get to. Chiefs are cooked. This is from Speedy. Speedy is a longtime supporter of the channel. And the Chiefs are cooked. I promise we will get to the Chiefs in a minute. But we are now going to go from the Dolphins to the Titans and Browns. So within this Titans and Browns game, look, Shedeur Sanders, I thought played really, really well. I think you have to credit Shedeur because he had 300 yards, he had 3 touchdowns. And the one thing with Shedeur is he obviously had the one very bad play, the one very bad interception, but he looked good in this game. He had the one really big touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. Harold Fannin is also tremendous. And we did a video last week on the best and worst draft classes so far. And we discussed the Browns class within this. And by the way, what I am posting or what I am pasting right now is the store link. If you are interested, I'm going to go ahead and pin that. And then this is one comment here from Celtics that I see that I completely understand. Well, this is also from Jeremy, but Stefanski needs to be fired. Stefanski's a clown, needs to be fired yesterday. I completely understand why Browns fans feel this way. And I mean, I feel like you really can't defend it anymore. We're at the point in the Browns era with Kevin Stefanski where if they lose, which they did again, that he gets up to the podium and says the typical, we do look at the tape, we need to figure out what we need to get better. Look, there's a lot within yesterday that the Browns should have won, if we're being completely honest. But you have your quarterback throw for 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I'll just leave it at that. Stefanski is done. He knows it. This is something that I 100% agree with. I would be absolutely shocked if Stefanski is not done at season's end. But it was Kevin's doing a good job keeping the tank alive, and that's probably I feel like the best way to summarize the Browns game. But that final 2-point conversion was hilariously bad, and that summarizes the past couple of years for the Browns. Now, I think some people at times get kind of like focused strictly on the Deshaun part, and obviously how that can derail and it has derailed the franchise. But it's more than just that. There's play calling that's not maximizing what players can do, and there's also a culture at this point that's also, for lack of better wording, bad. And yeah, I'd be shocked if Stefanski isn't done, because I would kind of ask the question, how far do we go with Kevin Stefanski? Because right now, they're not going to finish 7-10, and you had a player that threw for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns yesterday. On the 2-point conversion, he wasn't even on the field. And then on top of it, they finished 3-14 last year. They went to the playoffs 2 years ago, and then back in 2022 they finished 7-10. So I'd be kind of surprised if Kevin Stefanski's not done at the end of the year. And this is a really good question here from Herf. How many coaches do you think are done after this season? I don't know. Stefanski is one. The Titans already fired their coach. Pete Carroll will be done. Jonathan Gannon, there's 4. The Giants already fired their coach. There's 5. I'm just looking at the worst rosters in the NFL. The Falcons, there's 6. At least 6. At least 6. So, at least 6. And there is one that we'll talk about shortly that may surprise people. But, look, I do want to talk about Saints Bucks now. This, by the way, this could also be a 7th one here. This could also be. I actually wasn't even including Todd Bowles in that. I was strictly looking at bad teams and not even factoring in Todd Bowles. Look, Todd Bowles, guys. I mean, you're going against a 2-10 team, and the comments right now speak for itself. The Bucks right now, and this is the one that we'll talk about that may surprise some people. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the biggest thing that I would agree with right now is that Todd Bowles is holding this team back. And I think one thing that has, we talk about how winning cures everything, but the Bucks right now, I mean, I know they've dealt with their fair share of injuries this year. They have a minus 26 point difference. They are not a good team right now. They have lost 4 of their last 5 games. They lost to the Patriots coming out of the bye. They lost to the Bills in Buffalo. They got smoked by the Rams. I mean, that was, I know Baker got hurt in that game, but they were already down 3 scores at half. They weren't going to come back and win. And the Bucks are in I feel like they're in a worse situation than people either realize or acknowledge. And I've seen people that cover the Bucks in Tampa talk about how little they're talked about nationally, and I do agree with that the Bucks can be a 10-3 or 11-3 team, and people just aren't talking about them much nationally. And now that they're 7-6, I feel like it's just kind of flying, just kind of going under the radar. But this is not a good team, man. They started out 5-1. They had the one really, really good game against the Seahawks, and Baker was kind of willing this team at earlier in the year. But and there were a couple of other good games within this. I don't want it to be just a one good game thing. They got lucky the rest of the way. But guys, you look at their wins. They beat the Falcons. Okay, they're going to fire their head coach. They beat the Texans. Good team win. Good win. Good win on Monday night in primetime early in the year. They beat the Jets in a game that I feel like if it's maybe 27 of, probably more than that of any other teams, of the other 31 teams, they probably lose. They lose to the Eagles. They beat the Seahawks. Again, credit where it's due. Baker played phenomenal. Great win. Emeka Ibuka, awesome game. They beat the 49ers, another solid win. They lose to the Lions by double digits. They beat the Saints in a game where they turned the ball over 4 times. Anthony Nelson also had a 3-yard pick 6 within that game. Then they enter their Week 9 bye with a 6-2 record. Since their bye, lose to the Patriots, lose by double digits to the Bills, get smoked by the Rams, beat the Cardinals in a game where they don't look good, and now lose to the Saints. And by the way, again, shout out Tyler Shuck, because Tyler Shuck right now I did have somebody tweet this at me. So if somebody tweeted at me that Tyler Shuck has not been getting a lot of love nationally, although I have been seeing you talk about Tyler Shuck. So I do want to give Tyler Shuck all the credit that he deserves, because Tyler Shuck right now playing really good football, and it was really good to see the encouragement from Tyler Shuck moving forward, because right now there's a lot of bad teams, and the Jets right now are 3-10. They have the 7th overall pick, which is obviously not good when you're that bad. But with Tyler Shuck, I mean, I don't think the Saints are going to finish the year with a top 2 pick at this point, and I think they're going to be out on Fernando Mendoza. And I would ask the question, is Dante Moore significantly better than Tyler Shuck at this point? I don't think so, at least right now. So I think the conversation for the Saints at this point should be, hey, let's have Tyler Shuck finish the year, play a good couple of more games, and head into 2026 with him. Because yesterday was, I thought it was a really solid game from Shuck, and it's really encouraging to see that against a division rival and a team that was leading the division heading into Week 14. So a lot of positives for the Saints, a lot of negatives for the Bucs, and let Shuck cook. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Let's see here. I wouldn't disagree with that. Good call, Nick. All right, next game here. Colts, Jags. All right, let's just go ahead. Let's just talk about this. So there's a lot of things that need to be talked about with this game. Now, one thing I want to hammer home is the Colts were already slipping before the DJ torn Achilles. And within this, what I think should be addressed is, I mean, Daniel Jones threw an interception right to Devin Lloyd before he tore his Achilles. I would have been surprised if the Colts would have won this game. The Colts' final 4 games are the Seahawks, at the Seahawks next week, which, again, I think with Daniel Jones, they would lose. Home against the 49ers, that's not an easy one. I mean, there's none of the Colts' remaining 4 games do I have any confidence, even with Daniel Jones, that they win. Which they're at the Seahawks, home against the Niners, home against the Jags, at the Texans. So there's a lot that needs to be addressed within this game. Obviously, this is what I am trying to hammer home here. The Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. I was a junior in high school the last time they beat them in Duval, and they were 7-1. They're probably going to miss the playoffs. And where I stand with this right now with the Colts is, this is kind of why not because of the Daniel Jones injury, because I already thought they were collapsing prior to the Daniel Jones injury, but this is why I didn't like the 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner trade, because you went all in, and you're probably going to miss the playoffs at this point, if we're being honest. I mean, this is what should be the message here. This is what should be the message here. I couldn't agree more. But you started the year, you're hot. You started out 3-0. The only loss you have is to the Rams, in which they lose on a game because of the Adonai Mitchell touchback, if we're being honest. So the Colts should have started out 8-0. They didn't. But this is a really bad situation, man. This is a really bad situation right now. Do I think Steichen gets fired if they miss the playoffs? I feel like no. I feel like there's been too much from him this year. No, I wouldn't think so. Now, trade looking good for the Jets. You're 100% right. But with the Colts specifically, this is also a really good point here. The score was 21-7 when he was hurt. And like I said, I don't think the Colts were going to come back down double digits on the road in a place they hadn't won in 11 years. Yes, I know nobody on that roster is still here from the 2014 team, but my point is, I don't think they're going to come back even with him. And you're 8-5, like we just discussed their final 4 games. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs at all. And this is a great point here, because Chris Ballard was already not in a great position. I mean, it was Daniel Jones was the last gasp. Hey, let's just hope that DJ makes something happen, because AR is not the answer, and he did for the first half of the season. And here we are. And now you're 8-5. You have Riley Leonard playing, and it's not a good situation. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about here, this is a really good point here. So we talk about the Jags tomorrow and the biggest winners and losers of Week 14 video. The Jags quietly have averaged over 30 points per game since their bye. A lot of credit needs to be given to the Jags. So that is one thing that I want to, or one thing that will be hammered home within tomorrow's video, is specifically that. Now, a couple of other things that I want to discuss within this game is the Jags simply took advantage of the Colts' mistakes. And within this, I mean, they forced multiple turnover on downs. Trevor Lawrence was good again yesterday. And that was very, very big because we've had now back-to-back games where it's not Jekyll and Trevor, it's good Trevor. Now the question is can we get that again, moving forward? Obviously, there's always going to be the thought in the back of my mind that, hey, Trevor Lawrence can be a bad player on any given Sunday, and there's really no rhyme or reason for it. It's just frustrating at times. But Jags, huge winners from Week 14, and the Jags' remaining schedule. They have one more really difficult game, or not really difficult, but one more game where it's kind of, hey, we'll see how this goes. Or actually, one really difficult game. Sorry. Next week they play home against the Jets. Should win 10-4. At Denver, that's the really tough game. Probably a loss. At the Colts, they start Riley Leonard to win. Home against the Titans, win. 12-5 is there for the Jags. So we'll see how that plays out. But the Texans' schedule is also really. The Texans' schedule, they play the Chargers, and that's their kind of lone difficult game / not easier game in the final 4 games of the year. So the AFC South race just getting started between the Texans and Jags. Now, appreciate the super chat, 10-piece, dime piece from Pet Bearded Dragon, longtime supporter of the channel. Appreciate it. Sorry I'm late. The Packers beat us. We felt pride, and pride is a sin. The team represented by the Pope cannot be sinful. May Green Bay. We'll get to the Bears and Packers in a minute, but the big thing that I would hammer home is do not panic if you're a Bears fan. Just don't panic. I would not panic. Just don't panic. You lost by a touchdown. You didn't play good in the first half. It's gonna be fine. You play them in 2 weeks. It'll be good. We're not good, but at least we'll have another opportunity here. Jags, since blowing the Texans game, have been good. Agree, 100%, and that is also addressed within the Week 14 biggest winners and losers tomorrow. So, like I said, the Jags defense has also been opportunistic recently, which is huge. And we just can't have Jekyll and Trevor. That's it. And the Jags are going to be a difficult team to beat in the postseason. They went through their ups and downs earlier, but we'll see. Why do you think the media never talks about the Jags? It's simple. Same reason they don't talk about the Bucs. It's Tampa. It's Jacksonville. They don't have a big media presence, unfortunately, and that's just the reality of the situation. Sorry, that's just, I feel bad for those fan bases. I love Jags fans, think they're a really good fan base. Same thing applies to the Bucs, but that's unfortunately the reality of it. That's fair or not. But the Dolphins Super Bowl comment got me. The dry pan matter of fact, the way you delivered it was hilarious. Appreciate it. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you. But maybe I wasn't joking. All right, let's see here. Steelers, Ravens. All right. If you are a Ravens fan, give me your honest feedback about what you think about the refs. Just tell me what you think about the refs. Just, how do you feel specifically today? This was a game the Steelers won. There was Mike Tomlin, as the cameras were panning away from him. He would just a classic. This is a classic Pittsburgh Steelers win. But this is one question that I have from this game is, how is that not a catch by Isaiah Likely? I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of, yesterday I feel like was not a great day for refs, for cameras. Now, I don't think the Steelers won exclusively by the refs. I'm trying not to say that. I think a lot of things can be true. DK Metcalf played a really good game. He also, stayed overnight in Baltimore. There was worries about internal injuries, but I think he's fine. But this was just that call was one I didn't understand. Then there was the Aaron Rodgers call. But even within this game, right, within the Ravens, this is what I'm going to hammer home, and this is exactly how I feel about the Baltimore Ravens at this point. And by the way, if you are enjoying the stream, please helps tremendously. Would very much appreciate it. But this is exactly how I feel about the 2025 Ravens. It feels like anytime there's an opportunity to, I don't want to say rewrite the narrative, but correct your wrongdoings or to simply play better, they don't. And Lamar's also not played great this year. There's I mean, I don't know if it's an MVP hangover. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's not 100%, has been 100% all year. Obviously, he missed some time earlier in the year, but, is he still not even close to 100%? Is he 60%? Is he 75? Where is he? But the Ravens go from 1-5 to 6-5, which was, during that 5-game stretch, they played the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, and Jets. And they've played the Bengals and Steelers both at home. They've lost both. And they had an opportunity to be 8-5 through 13 games, and they're not. And I think there is this is the first time that I've actually said this, although I don't think it would happen this year, but the Harbaugh being gone from Baltimore steam, and I say this as somebody that lives in Maryland, lives generally near the area, it's picking up. There's people that are fed up. There's people that are completely done with the Harbaugh. Like, hey, it's been 13 years since we've won a Super Bowl. We're sick of the excuses. It's done. And we'll get to the Steelers in a minute, by the way. But the Ravens right now, to me, are just and I don't want this to be taken as like I can't credit the Steelers at all, because we'll get to Pittsburgh in a minute. Patrick Queen had a couple of really good plays at the end. But within the final drive for the Ravens, the complete lack of situational awareness to just like, oh yeah, hey guys, let's just hey, let's talk about our post-game meal. Let's just, hey, nothing's really going on. Sure, we're in the 2-minute drill, but hey, let's just, just take your time, guys. It's we don't have anything to worry about. There's just so much frustration within Baltimore right now that's correctable. That goes back on Todd Monken. It goes back on John Harbaugh. The receivers are also not great. Zay Flowers is a good player, but the receivers that Lamar has had for, I would say, the majority of his career at this point is not great. And the Ravens are in a tough situation, man. The Ravens and Bills feel very similar, both underachieving that should be dominating. I think it's coaching fatigue. This is I feel like it's the first time where I've talked about where John Harbaugh being let go is a very real possibility this year. We'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. Same thing with the refs. They have a couple dumb calls. Don't even talk about them anymore. Just expected 1 to 3 bad calls per game. And like I said, I don't agree with the likely call. But I would also say, hey, like, play better to begin with. Don't put yourself in this situation to begin with. You don't want to have this situation. Don't turn the ball over 5 times against the Bengals last week. Don't put up just 14 points against the Bengals. The whole thing, man. The Ravens are, it's a frustrating situation. There's no way around it. This is, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about this. All right, now with the Steelers, by the way, because I talked mostly about the Ravens there. Look, they ran the ball well. DK Metcalf had probably the best game of his Steelers tenure so far. And I was really happy to... Wait, sorry, let me back that up on the running part. That was not what I meant. I meant DK. Let me completely back that up because they only ran for 34 yards as a team. Let me completely retract that. What I meant was the DK part. Got carried away there for a second. Within the DK part there were a couple of times where it was just prime Rodgers just putting a ball right in the breadbasket. They were just right there, and it just really felt like prime Rodgers to Devontae down the sideline. And the Steelers yesterday, they needed to bounce back, especially after a second half against Buffalo, in which Buffalo just completely just ran the ball down their throat. Or in week 13, I don't know if I said yesterday. In week 13, Buffalo ran the ball down their throat. They outscored them 23-0 in the second half. They really needed to bounce back, and they did. And for the Steelers right now, they're 7-6. Obviously, they control their fate from here on, or their destiny from here on out. They'll play the Ravens again in week 18, which could be for the AFC North, although I don't have a lot of confidence in the Ravens at this point. But the Steelers can beat the Dolphins next Monday night. Then they play at the Lions. At the Lions is going to be a very difficult game. There's no way around that. But then they play at Cleveland and then home against the Ravens. So, guys, we're looking at a very real possibility where the Steelers finish 10-7 and win the AFC North. But now, or rather, after that, what would they do in the wild card round? I can't say I'd have a lot of confidence in the Steelers after that, but right now, if I had to pick the division winner through 14 weeks, I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was really good to see. It was really, really good to see DK Metcalf have the game he had yesterday. Alex Highsmith made a big play when it mattered. Patrick Queen also stepped up when it mattered, which was against his former team, by the way. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, look, biggest thing is you won. You're 7-6. You bounced back after 2 losses to the Bears and Bills. And the division is right in front of you. All right, let's go to next game here. We did not discuss Bengals-Bills yet. All right, Bengals-Bills. Let me see here if I can. Man, I thought I had one, but look, Bengals-Bills here. Bills improved to 9-4. Bengals fall to 4-9. This is, just correct me if you've heard this one before. The Bengals put up 34 plus points, 30 plus points. It doesn't matter, and they lose. This is the summarization of the Bengals over the past couple of years. The Bengals are undoubtedly done. They are undoubtedly done, and it's just frustrating because we are now, by the way, and this goes back to the point that I was trying to hammer home within the past week is I don't think it's unreasonable I don't think Joe Burrow getting traded is as crazy as people think. Now, I think there's only one or two. Mahomes getting traded, he's a 3-time champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. That's a different thing. But right now, guys, we are going on a presidential term in terms of the Bengals missing the playoffs with a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in his prime. Now, I don't think the Bengals are actually going to trade Joe Burrow. I'm not trying to insinuate that, I'm talking about it. I don't think it actually happens, but guys, 3 straight seasons you're going to miss the playoffs with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. There's nothing I can say here, man. I gave you crap for it before, but the more I thought about it, it's definitely something they'll at least take calls about. That's my point here, is within this, is you are going on 3 straight years without making the playoffs, and on top of it, there is also a part of me that internally believes that the Bengals front office, and I'm talking 2 or 3 or 4 people at the top of the Bengals front office that's saying, hey, right now, Joe Burrow has missed 6 games in 1 year, 7 games in another year, 9 games in this year. We could completely reset the franchise, and we could get an absolute king's ransom for him. I don't think the possibility of him being traded is as crazy as people think. I really don't. And by the way, this is not just me causing it to the Vikings. Disregard that completely. Forget me being a Vikings fan. By the way, did you see how JJ McCarthy played yesterday? Yeah, future league MVP, obviously. And we'll get to Joe Burrow. We'll get to JJ in a minute. But I'm telling you, I don't think there's a possibility, or I don't think the trade ability of him, the possibility of it, is as crazy as people think. That's all I'm saying. Now with the Bills, huge team win. Personal big winner from Week 14, Christian Benford, undoubtedly. Christian Benford yesterday, the pick 6, did a really, really good job with covering Jamar Chase yesterday, which is obviously, that is so much easier said than done. And he's a huge winner. Josh Allen played like an MVP yesterday, and the Bills have now won 3 of their last 4 games. They had that nightmare against Houston, which I discussed the Texans as big winners in the Week 14 winners and losers video tomorrow. I think the Texans are the best defense in the league. I know people, Seahawks, Broncos, a couple other units, the Rams. I think the Texans are the best unit in the league. But anyway, outside of that game, the Bills have put up, excluding the Texans game, they put up 44 against the Bucs, 26 against the Steelers, 39 yesterday against the Bengals. Huge win, especially when you needed it most. And this was obviously big for the Bills because there were 6 8+ win teams in the AFC entering Week 14. Bills won to improve to 9 wins. So Bills, to me, are undoubtedly big winners from Week 14. Very happy for Josh Allen. And, sorry about that. And it was also, they put up 39 points. Really, really happy for the Bills Mafia right now. And also, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught this. I always have a little bit of an Easter egg within each weekly recap. So for a second or two in the Bills-Bengals part, I put barbell/duffs for the score, and then I put skyline down at the bottom. So definitely pay attention to that. Pay attention to that next time. I also put, for the Steelers-Ravens, I put Fiore's Pizza, which Fiore's Pizza, by the way, best pizza in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to hear Beato's. I'm not going to hear Beato's Lunchable Pizza, all right? Fiore's is just chef's kiss for Pittsburgh pizza. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that, so pay attention to the Easter eggs coming up. All right, let's go ahead and discuss. Let's go. We're actually going to the 4:00 games, and we're saving this for last, of course, because we're gonna have some fun with that game when we get there. But all right, let's see. Broncos Raiders. Look, to me, this is not gonna there doesn't need to be a huge 15-minute discussion with this game, because look, the Broncos win. They looked good while they were out there offensively. You're not going to put up 50 points every game. I thought Bo Nix played fine. I thought R.J. Harvey looked good. Nick Bonito had a couple of sacks, and the Broncos simply took care of business. The score in this game, there were a lot of people nudge, wink, wink about the Raiders covering the spread, and then also the over-under apparently was 40. I didn't even look at the over-under for this game. But what I will say about this game specifically is the Raiders, forget the point spread and the over-under and all that. The Raiders kicking a field goal to lose by 7 instead of 10 is that is the Pete Carroll Raiders. This team has been bad all year long. But I will say, Kenny Pickett looked a lot better than what Geno has for most of the year when he came in this game. And by the way, Jack Besh, who would have thought if you give it an opportunity, he actually makes plays. And my biggest frustration with the Raiders isn't really the fact that they're a bad team. It's the fact that they do a lot of things that are inexplicably, for lack of better wording, just dumb. Like, your season is over. Your season's been over really since Halloween, probably earlier, if we're being honest. And you get up to the podium and you say things like, oh, well, we'll play the rookies when they prove themselves. Just play them, man. Like, you have absolutely nothing to lose. And by the way, shout out Jack Besh yesterday. That was awesome. Really happy for Jack Besh. And this is another thing. You have a Super Bowl winning quarterback on your roster. Here's an idea. Maybe play your Super Bowl winning quarterback. Obviously, Kenny Pickett took a couple snaps last year in the Super Bowl. And, look at the morale on the Eagles right now without Kenny Pickett. So, Kenny Pickett, future quarterback of the Raiders. You heard it here first. And that's a joke unless it actually happens. So, let's just you always got to clear that up. Anyway, I feel like I've been saying the same thing for the Raiders over the past couple of weeks, mainly because the same thing applies every single week. But good win for the Broncos. It was not a true 7-point win. Obviously, Broncos fans that watch this game, you guys know that. You improved 11-2. You took care of business. You beat a bad team. Good for you. Move on. All right, Rams, Cardinals. Honestly, a lot of the same thing here. For the Rams. The Rams obviously lost in Week 13 to the Panthers. They turned the ball over 3 times, and you have to credit the Panthers, but that was a game the Rams didn't think they were going to lose internally. So they come back and they took their anger out on the Cardinals. This was the first game that the Rams had put up 500 yards in the Matt Stafford era. The last time the Rams put up 500 or more yards in a game, ironically, was also against the Cardinals in Arizona back in 2019. But right now, this was a highlight reel of highlight reel games. This was like big brother, little brother, punching bag type game. You looked up, Puka was scoring, Blake Corum was scoring, Kyron Williams was scoring. It was just, this is a really good point here. Stafford stat correction for his MVP campaign. The Rams beat the hell out of them. Sorry, language. But, there's just not a lot to say about this game that you already don't know. Positive on the Cardinals' part. Michael Wilson is... I like Michael Wilson a lot. And he is actually a player that, whenever you have those big physical receivers that also are high-effort guys in run blocking that are, really good at the catch point, those are players that I like. So Michael Wilson, and a player that I actually compared to Michael Wilson was Alec Iomanner of the Titans in the pre-draft process. Michael Wilson has been a really good player for the Cardinals this year. He's 700 yards on the season. Don't think he's going to get to 1,000, but I'm really happy to see Michael Wilson have the year that he's having. But look, Nate Landman also had a really good interception within this game, but the biggest thing here is the Rams. They smoked them. They took care of business. They took their anger and frustration out on them from losing to the Panthers. First 500-yard game of the Matt Stafford era. Highlight reel day. That's what you need to know from this game. Now, Bears-Packers. All right, let's just go ahead. let's just go ahead and discuss this here. Blake Corum breakout, by the way. I do hope that was the breakout because I love Blake Corum coming out of Michigan. I hope that was the start. I will also add that within the Rams-Cardinals game. All right. Bears fan, I hate Green Bay. I love I'm I wasn't sure where you stood on this, but I'm glad that you did address that you hate Green Bay as a Bears fan. I wasn't sure where you stood on that, but I appreciate the clarity. All right, so Bears-Packers. There's a lot within this game. The Bears, this is also a really good point here, Calvin. The Bears dropped from the 1 seed to the 7 seed after that loss. That really shows just how tight the NFC is right now. And the Seahawks and Rams both have 10 wins. The Niners are quietly 9-4, and the Niners record the Niners remaining schedule is not, they play the Bears, so that's a really, really big game down the stretch for both teams. So within this game for the Bears, you have a tough schedule in front of you. You have, in some ways, kind of outside of the Browns game, you kind of have a playoff schedule a little bit in front of you. You play the Packers again after the Browns, and then the Bears' remaining schedule here is, let me pull this up exactly. I don't want to misspeak here. But you have home against the Browns, you have home against the Packers, at the 49ers, home against the Lions. At least 3 of the 4 are home games. But this is a tough stretch for the Bears. All right. Oh, big 20-piece super chat. Ty, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the 20, man. Really makes my day. Really, really appreciate the support. I'm tired of discourse surrounding the Bengals. Right now, we got our own fan base putting all the blame on Burrow. You shouldn't. I'll just say that. Obviously, the mistake with the Christian Bedford interception. But acting like he's the only reason we lost is stupid. I would just say this. If you were a Bengals fan watching this and you legitimately think that game is on Joe Burrow, I don't know. I don't know what you're watching. I'll just say this. It was not on Joe Burrow. The entire game was not on Joe Burrow. I'll just leave it at that. But I appreciate the 20-piece tie. I really do. It makes my day. And best of luck moving forward. But I'm just saying I don't want to say this to a Bengals fan specifically, but I just worry about the future of the Bengals because to me right now this looks very, very similar to Dan Marino's start to the career where you get to the Super Bowl in the second season and then we're going on a presidential term with the Bengals not getting back. Anyway, new member alert. Appreciate it. New member alert. We have new member alert, resilient human stories. Nice username. Nice profile picture. Appreciate it. Was top 60 fans this last year. W content. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you being a member. But now we go back to the Bears-Packers. Luke says, sorry, Bears fans thought it was sweet. All I'm going to say is we have you guys play each other again in 2 weeks, which I am very much looking forward to. So, and like I said, I started the stream by saying that this is the best time of year in terms of, obviously Christmas and family time and all that. But guys, we have, in the next couple of weeks, we have Rams, Seahawks, we have Bears, Packers. There's going to be a lot of games I'm missing, so I'll just leave it at those two. But I am very much looking forward to the Week 16 rematch of Green Bay going to Chicago with kind of the NFC North on the line. We'll just leave it at that. And within this, my pet bearded dragon, I'll get to the chat in a minute, I promise. But actually, this actually really applies to what I'm saying. The Bears did not look good in the first half. So for the Bears, the reason why I say not to panic is you didn't play a good half of football, and you were still in a position to win. And by the way, the one thing that I will hammer home is I really think that if the Bears get that touchdown there to Cole Kmet, they try and walk off 29-28 final. I think everybody would agree with that. But if you walk off with a 29-28 final, you're 10-3. The Packers are 8-4-1. You've Ben Johnson probably taking his shirt off again, saying good, better, best in the locker room. This is, man, all I'm going to say is to not panic. Because not only within that game did you not play a good first half, but within this game, the Bears defense was also not great. And I think that some of the Bears weaknesses were kind of exploited at times. And whenever we have the Bears discussion this offseason, we're going to talk about how the Bears need another pass rusher. They need more secondary help. And it was also unfortunate that Kyler Gordon was, that was, the injury was there. That was brutal. But for the Bears to be 9-4, I know Bears fans are not going to want to hear this, but this is exactly what I'm referring to, by the way. So good call, Fong man. This is, you're playing with house money this year. The Bears right now, in a lot of ways, are similar to the Commanders last year in the aspect of, not that they're going to go to the NFC championship game for sure, but they're very similar in the aspect of, hey, look, we didn't expect to be here. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, the Bears entered Week 14 as the number 1 seed in the conference. You were one play away from, you were probably, if we're being honest, if Caleb throws that football another maybe foot and a half higher, you're probably 18 inches away from maybe winning. I mean, from a 2-point conversion away from being 10-3. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be. I don't think there's, to me right now, there should be no panic with the Bears, because this roster is also not great at the moment. It's also, like, defensively, there's holes at pass rush. There's holes in the secondary. The linebackers have been hurt for a lot of the year. Bears don't panic. So, this is actually really. I appreciate that. That's a pretty cool comment. I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate that. But Ty Kendall, back to the Bengals, says it's fine. None of us, or most of us, are thinking in the back of our head anyway. Okay, at least we're on the same page there. Hopefully, this losing season will force some change. Can only hope. That's what you can hope for at this point as a Bengals fan, is what should come this offseason. But all right. Let's see here. Dennis Allen sold yesterday. I mean, there's some of that. Jordan Love also played a great game. I think there's times where there's a lot of things that can kind of be discussed at once. But the Packers played really good yesterday. When Jordan Love is on, and I say this as somebody that dealt with Aaron Rodgers, Bears fans, you know where I'm coming with this. There are times whenever you are sitting there, you're watching a Packers quarterback. They have all day. They can sip their cup of tea in the pocket. There's just nothing. They sit back. They're about to throw the ball, and you're sitting there as a Bears or Vikings fan, or Lions fan, by the way. You're sitting there. You see them winding up, whether it was Rodgers or now Jordan Love, and you're just like, oh boy, here we go. And the pit of your stomach is just like churning. It's just like, oh, please, somebody force an incompletion. There were a couple of those yesterday. The one big touchdown was a prime example of what I'm referring to. Or, yeah, anyway, I'm just going to say this. Vikings, Bears, Lions fans, we've seen some things with Packers quarterbacks. But Jordan Love, whenever, there's just times when he's on. I had a couple of thoughts during the game yesterday. Like, this is, when he's on, guys, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But I'll just leave it at that. So, Texans, Chiefs. And, I mean, look, collecting divergence, always saying, hey, drop the like button. I appreciate it. I really do. Now, I wanted to get to one quick one. The Vikings need to trade Jefferson and Addison. We'll, I guess, discuss that at some point. We'll just whenever we discuss the Vikings. But I disagree definitely on Jefferson. But within the Texans and Chiefs game, so there's a lot of things that need to be talked about with the Texans. Defense is obviously phenomenal. Jalen Petrie have a game. I mean, just phenomenal, man. Just that was the ball where he just tipped it up and then came down with an interception. I mean, Rashee Rice was the play where he just drilled him. The Texans defense is phenomenal, guys. I mean, it is the biggest thing that we hammered home even back in week 3 is if they can just find a way to get to the postseason, they are going to be good. And within that, also quickly, yes, I would say the Patriots are in the same boat playing with house money, yes. But within this game for the Texans is you hold the Chiefs to 10 points, you force multiple turnovers. The one hit on Travis Kelce at the end last night, guys, there were a lot of people immediately after that saying, retire, it's over, see ya, thanks for the Hall of Fame career, but buddy, you need to hang it up. It was I mean, this is also how I would describe this. Texans Chiefs at times felt like 20-0. The Chiefs offense did not have a lot of juice in the fourth quarter. And this is also how I would say about this. Nick Caley last night, I don't want to take away too much from the Texans win, but there's some concern to be had about the offense. I mean, outside of the couple of plays to Nico Collins, and then Dario Ogunbowale, credit to him, he came in after Woody Marks went down and immediately scored a touchdown. But the offense worries me with the Texans, mainly because I just want to read the exact exact second half possessions that the Texans had within last night's game, because it wasn't pretty, if we're being honest. The defense is obviously phenomenal, but the Texans' second half possessions last night: 3 plays, -4 yards, punt. 3 plays, 2 yards, punt. 3 plays, 0 yards, punt. 3 plays, 0 yards, punt. 6 plays, 19 yards, punt. Then they had a touchdown, which was off of the turnover on downs that the Chiefs had at the, more or less the start of the fourth quarter. They had a short field. Credit to them. It was 10-10. They made it 17-10. And then the Chiefs had another turnover on downs. And then the Texans punted the ball from the Chiefs' 43-yard line. And so 3 plays, -2 yards, punt. And then they had another interception, which was off of Kelsey's hands that Azeez Al-Shaair intercepted. And then the Texans had a field goal off of that. The Texans offense, there's some concern to be had at the moment, and I think Texans fans would also acknowledge that. But as long as they don't turn the ball over and give the opposing team, an easy field, the Texans are going to be they're going to be a very, very tough out if they get in. And by the way, the Texans' remaining schedule, I do want to quickly address this as well. The Texans are 8-5 now. Very real possibility this team finishes the year with a 12-5 record, because the Texans' final 4 games: home against the Cardinals, should be a win. Home against the Raiders, should be a win. At the Chargers, against, with the backup tackles they have, should be a win. Home against the Colts, especially now with Daniel Jones out, should be a win. So the Texans finishing 12-5, very real possibility. And this hasn't been discussed a lot nationally, but the Jags and Texans, we could have enter week 18, both teams have 12 wins type scenario. So we'll see how that plays out. But all right, Vikings, Commanders. I got to take a quick drink of water here because, hold on. This was 31-0. Just all right. First off, appreciate the super chat from Doug, who says, Duval. Yeah, I'm happy for the Jags, man. Really happy for the Jags. All right, look, 31-0. Man, this was a game. This was finally. I mean, this game was over quick. It was like midway through the second quarter. It was like 140. I mean, this game flew. We had a 19-play, 98-yard drive within this game. Look, right, Tyler says it right here. 9 is the new Mahomes. You guys obviously know after this game that it's nothing but up. I mean, I'll just say this. It was really good to see my team finally just have a good game all around. Now, there's a lot of things that we can talk about here, because the Vikings played the Commanders yesterday. Obviously, the Commanders' defense is not good. Like, very, very not good. And you still have to play who's in front of you. But JJ started out the game 9 of 10. He completed 69% of his passes yesterday, which was really good. Which was really good, especially with where the completion percentage has been throughout most of the season for him. So for JJ to have the day that he had yesterday, I was really, really excited to see that. Now, I think there's some concern to be had about Jordan Addison. He's kind of dropped a lot more balls this year than you'd like. And I think that's definitely a concern to be had. But we're not going to the playoffs, so it's like, just focus on those things in the in the final couple of games this year. Excuse me. But for JJ to finish this game, exact stat line, 16 of 23, $163, 3 touchdowns, 129.2 passer rating. It was awesome. JJ desperately needed a get-right game just to get confidence above water. Couldn't agree more. And that was the biggest thing within this game. Now, for the Commanders, Jaden Daniels got hurt yesterday on a play that Van Ginkel threw an interception. That was unfortunate, obviously. But I mean, they did say that Jaden Daniels also could have entered the game, but they told him hey, look, we're getting beat bad. I think it was 24-0 at the time. We're just gonna sit you down, which I'm fine with that. I thought was a good decision. But within this game, the Commanders at the end of the game This is the one part that I talked about. Now, I don't want to get into the overreaction of, hey, we have a bad season, everybody needs fired type thing. Although I do that sometimes, but I'm not saying right now, hey, let's fire Kellen Moore. I'm not saying, hey, let's, you know what I mean? Like there's exceptions to these types of things. But the Commanders, whenever your team is just a complete no-show and you can see it, that's when I think the conversation should be had. And it's been an absolute year from hell for the Commanders. But whenever your team, I mean, and this is also a week after they lost to the Broncos. The biggest thing with the Commanders is how they play in the final 4 games of the year, because the Commanders have 4 division games to end the year. Now, if they lose all 4 of those games by double digits and look the way they did in week 14 against the Vikings, that's a conversation worth having. But right now, I think at minimum, Dan Quinn's, like, his seat it's definitely not cold. I mean, especially with the way they looked yesterday. This was a 3-2 team. That's now 3-10. You've lost 8 in a row. There's been several double-digit losses within this stretch. You got absolutely embarrassed by the Seahawks on Sunday night earlier in the year. You got beat by 21 points on the road in Kansas City. The Cowboys also beat you by 3 scores. The Lions went into your place, also won by 3 scores. Dan Quinn's seat it's not cold, guys. It's not cold. And I, like I said, I try not to get into the, well, let's just fire him just to fire him. I mean, if it's a really, really bad situation, i.e. Brian Callahan or Brian Dable having 3 straight 2-7 starts to the season, then yes, change needs to be made. But with where the Commanders are right now, it's not good, guys. Plus, the outlook for this franchise at this point, I mean, not including Jaden Daniels, but the lack of draft capital, it's a pretty tough situation, all things considered, if we're being completely open and honest about with where the Washington Commanders are. Now, I wanted to address the super chat here, which I appreciate. Speedy, as always, appreciate it. Speedy says, Commanders defense is atrocious. Agree. I'm hoping to see Dart dice them up next week. If you are, that's a sneaky over game, by the way. Just a sneaky high scoring game. If you are a Giants fan, that should be your biggest thing. Just look to continue to build on what you've seen. I would also want that as, I would expect that as a, I would expect that with the Giants next week. Is this, so Thomas, I'm going to ask, are you referring to like RG3 after the 2013 season? Is that what we're referring to here? Is that, I mean, I'm guessing that's what we're referring to with the story sounds familiar. But to me, Jaden Daniels was a lot better than RG was as a rookie. I mean, Jaden Daniels was really, I mean, he was on another level last year. I don't want it to be forgotten about how good Jaden Daniels was. But we'll just see how it all plays out, man. But this is a type of loss where I'm not saying after they lost 27-26 to the Broncos, it went to overtime, that we need to fire Dan Quinn right now. But it's definitely kind of a conversation of, hey, let's see how they respond in the next 4 games of the year. What's up? How we doing? 1 year. Appreciate it. 1 year member. You can even see it down at the bottom. 12 months. That's what's up. That is what's up. That's what's up. Man, I thought I had a neck crack. But anyway, should the Commanders shut down Daniels? I'm actually going to put that up as a poll. I'll answer this. I'm curious where you guys stand. This is a simple yes or no. Should the Washington Commanders shut down Jaden Daniels for the rest of the year? I would be eager to see where you guys stand on that. I'm not going to look at the screen because I'm going to let it go for 30 seconds, and then I'll give my input on this. But where I would say with Jaden Daniels right now is I'd probably sit him for at least the Week 15 game, and depending how they look, I mean, if they're not 31-0 bad, I'd play him at least in the Week 16 game, because the thing is what you don't want to have within this is, you know, him miss a lot more time, because then there's a rust part that goes within this. And I think there were times yesterday within the Vikings game where I didn't think Jaden Daniels, even when he was healthy, I didn't think he looked good. I mean, he only completed 45% of his passes. He had the one really good play. It was a whole shot down the left sideline that was like 20 plus yards. But outside of that, Jaden Daniels didn't look really good. So All right, let's take a look here at the poll. I have not looked yet. I'm still like over here. The screen is over to this side. Where do you guys stand? They should. 82% should shut them down. Okay. But anyway, that's this is kind of what my thought process was when I was saying this. If I'm healthy, I should play applies to Daniels. That's where I stand. You also don't want to get, like I said, you don't want to get in the rust part. Now, there is a part of this that we don't know about that we're naturally not going to know about. Like, is he 72%? Is he 96.5%? Where is he? So, there's within that. But like I said, guys, I do want to say one thing real quick. If you guys, like I said, if you are interested in any football analysis merch, the link I will have at the end. I do also send a personal thank you message, so that's kind of cool if you're interested in that, which I'll link. It's actually also in the link right now. And also, if you guys did enjoy, please like the stream. It helps the channel tremendously. We are really close to 225. I think we'll hit 224 today. So truly cannot thank you guys enough for the support. The Minnesota Vikings, though, we are back, baby. We are so back. 9-8, run the table. We just need some help. We just need the 49ers to lose. We need the Bears to continue to lose. We are back. I'm definitely kidding on that, but it was really good to see my team finally win a playoff game. Good. I don't know why that was definitely. It was good to see my team win a game. A game. I definitely botched that, but it was good to see my team win a game yesterday. I enjoyed watching the game. Josh Oliver, 2 touchdowns. I know Jefferson didn't have that much yesterday, but there was a lot of watch the game. The Commanders, the game plan was obviously to take away Jefferson. So for JJ to still progress through his reads the way he did, he looked good. It was really good to see. Really good to see that, and I was really happy to. Anytime you get a win, especially when you only put up 6 points in 8 quarters. It's hard not to get at least a little excited about that. So that will wrap up today's stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like if you did. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day.